Hi folks, welcome to another Craig's Hack Tableau. Today I'd like to take you through my European Cities IronViz non-entry. So what is IronViz first of all? So the IronViz contest is run by Tableau and they've got an IronViz Europe contest this year which allows folks to compete for the top three to be up on stage live at the Tableau conference in London. So the actually contest is all finished and these are the winners. Congratulations Daniel, Klaus and Sarah. They'll be up on stage competing quite soon. So why is mine a non-entry? Well, here's the reason. You're actually only allowed to enter if you're actually in Europe. I thought about entering from Austria and pretend that I'd misspelt Australia, but I don't think that was going to cut it. But I did find out a bit late in the process. I'd already started putting an entry together, so I thought I'd get it up onto Tableau Public and show it off anyway. So today I'm going to take you through the actual Tableau Public version. Then I'm going to take you behind the scenes and give you a look at how it all came together, including how I grabbed my data and what I did with it, including putting together some spatial objects and how those spatial objects came together into some maps in Tableau. I did a Sankey in there, so I'll give you a bit of an insight as to how I got some Sankey calculations from a blog from the Info Lab, and I'll finish it off by how I created some of those custom shapes. Here we are with my non-entry that I've just republished back up to Tableau Public, and I thought I'd give you a bit of a look through it, and then we'll go and have a look at the data. So here's the actual version. So I've given you this dashboard in the form of a meal. So I'm starting off with an appetizer, and then we're going to have some main and then some dessert. So let's have a look at the appetizer. First of all, it's a Sankey chart. So I've been wanting to do a Sankey chart for quite a while. I've seen some really interesting blog activity on how it all gets put together. Most recent of which I saw this one from Ian Baldwin at the Information Lab. It's a really clever solution to do Sankey without having to duplicate your data, which I thought was worth a crack. So I've had a bash at this one using the data from Eurostat. So I'll take you through that in a little while, but the data from Eurostat that I've chosen is international flights in Europe between European cities. So here we go. We've got European city is United Kingdom, and all of the flights that are leaving from airports in the United Kingdom and which countries they're going to. So you can see quite a lot of them are going to Spain, and there's quite a lot headed to Ireland as well. So where do the Germans like to fly? So the German also fans of Spain, and also got some flights going to Austria as well. So that's a handy little use of the Sankey chart, and just like Ian and the crew have advised, I've dimensionalized this so you can have lots of many relationships that you can compare in your Sankeys. My data set doesn't really suit a lot of that. There's not many good many-to-many relationships there, but it was good fun, and I've come up with something that I'm pretty happy with. So that was a quick appetizer. On to the mains. So here we are with the map of those airports over Europe. So we can see here that we've got a little dot on the chart for every airport, and we're measuring average flights per day right now, but we measure a whole bunch of different things about those airports. And let's go and have a look at the average flights per day for Germany. So in Germany, they've got 25 airports, 3,200 odd flights a day, and we can actually see, we hover over the top of an individual airport, we'll see this one in Frankfurt, 700 flights a day, and there's a trend over time. And we can hover over other airports. There's a couple of airports here in Berlin which have got quite a lot of flights that are definitely on the increase there. So the other thing that you can look at is if you want to have a look at a particular airport, you can say, where are those 700 flights going? You can actually click on that airport, and we can see now a little tricky map here that shows all of the different destinations from the flights from Frankfurt. So you can see United Kingdom, 73 flights a day, out to Spain, 73 flights as well, and 40 flights out to Poland, and 25. There's quite a lot of stuff going on at that Frankfurt airport. So we'll come back to how we built that piece there in a while. So it's a nice little main course. So after main course, let's have a look at some dessert. So I've got here a trend over time. So it's a nice simple dessert. We can have a look at those same aggregates by country or by airport, or even by airport type or partner countries. And the grain of the data is various different types. We can see yearly, or if we want to have a look at that in a couple of different ways, quarterly or monthly. You can see that looks a bit more like a dessert, I think. And we can start to see some seasonal trends. So see German flights peak in July and in quarters. But if we have a look at the months, we can actually see individual peaks there for different countries. So United Kingdom is August and July. There's lots of holidays going on. We can see Spain similar. So August and July seems to be lots of flying going on in Europe. So we can actually see individual countries. So let's say we just wanted to have a look at those German airports. And instead of having a look by country, we'll change that to airport. Maybe we'll go back to yearly. And we can start to see some of those trends over time for the bigger airports. So there you have it. 3 dashboards and the data coming from Eurostat. So let's take you through how we got that data and all the tricks we did along the way. So the data I found at this Eurostat website, and there's got lots of good stuff in here. And I've drilled down into air transport, and I found a data set here, air passenger transport between main airports, and it's downloadable in a tab separated file. And I've downloaded that already, and I can show you what that looks like in its raw form. So it's very raw. So this is the file here, and it's got a bunch of stuff in it. One row with lots of time grains happening there. So we've got quarterly time grains, monthly time grains going out a couple of decades out to the right. We've got a lot of coding going on here. So this looks like a passenger measure. These codes here are country codes. So that's Austria. That's another flight going to, so that's an airport code, and that's the destination country going to Austria. So it'll be a domestic flight, whereas this one is going to Belgium. And these are the passenger counts. So there's a lot of parsing that needs to go on there. So I'm going to turn to my trusty old favorite tool, Alteryx, and I'm going to pull in that file there and see what we can do with it. So here's that same file. It's got 124,000 rows of data. There's our same data that we were looking at. Let me just expand this a bit. See what's going on there. So what do? We need to parse it. So I'm just going to parse it with a tab delimiter. And that /t there will get us that split out into multiple columns. So all of the dates are splitting out quite nicely there. We notice that we've got a heading now, past 1, past 2. We really want those to be the headings. So we can do take a dynamic rename to take those fields from the first row of data. Now what I generally do when I'm doing Alteryx is push that data straight out to a temp table, YXDB file, so that piece once, and then that's filed away in a file that I can then reference for every time I rerun the workflow. So what are we going to do about all those crazy codes? So having a look at those measures, airports, countries, where are we going to get a hold of our reference data? Well, luckily enough, Eurostat provided us with some pretty good reference files there. So here's the reference file that we tapped into for the there's the all of the measures that Eurostat use. There's our passengers boarding, passengers on board, arrivals and departures. Here's our next data set. These are the country codes. So there's the country code for Albania, so on. And when we get up here to airports themselves, so here's some airport codes. And we've got airports from all around the world by the looks of things here. And we've also got the lats and longs, so that's quite important for what I want to do with this data. If I zoom out on this workflow here, we can see that we've got our reference data coming in here. We've got another bit of reference data up here, which is the countries, lats and longs. Which I'll show you how I got that in just a little while. But we're going to take this data here from our European flights, and we're going to dive into it a bit deeper. So we need to do quite a bit of a cleanup on our data now. So we're going to pass some more stuff to get those comma delimited pieces out into nicer format. So here's our measures names, our countries and so on coming together. We do a bit of renaming those to flight, measure, airport, countries, etc. We do a bit more parsing to split out some more things, and then we get those dates and we start to pivot them around into a name and a value pairing. So we've got one row per time grain and the actual measure. There's a bit more cleaning going on here. We even do a bit of regex parsing here. We split our year, month, quarter out into years, year part types and year part numbers with that crazy looking thing there. I was going to keep just the data that's only full years only, but as you saw, it was quite good to have the option to have monthly or quarterly trending in the end there. So we do some joining or back to our reference data in a few regards there. We do the country code, the airport code, and we join the country again for the destination country or the partner country. And then we do a couple of business rules. Here's a business rule to say whether it's domestic or international. And now I'll take you down to the next piece here is where we start doing some pivoting and getting ready to do our spatial calc. So pivot that data, measure code and measures become crossway. So we've got one column now per measure. So there's our passengers boarding, our passengers arriving, etc., all out into like a crosstab. Had some trouble with some crazy characters in those reference files. I actually had to manually do a rename of those codes. So I actually had to type in the measure name rather than use the reference data, so that we can start to use the spatial objects now. So we got our airport lat and long. I'm going to create an actual spatial object, rename that one to airport geo, and then we're going to grab our countries, lats and longs. So once we have those two spatial objects, we can now start to do some calculations. So over here you can see I've compared my airport to my partner country centroid, And when I say centroid, it's not quite a centroid. Let me show you how I got that. So I actually used the values in Tableau of where they put their country code centroids. So when you double click on country in Tableau, see you get a dot, and sometimes it's middle of the country for Iceland. Sometimes it's in the bulky part. So it's a nice spot in the center of the country to have an object. And we need to make sure that we're lining up with those when we get to do our flight paths. So how did I get those lats and longs? Simple case of just viewing that data, and I just copied and pasted that one into Alteryx, and then I use those as inputs. So once we've got our centroids for airports and partner countries, we can actually calculate the distance, and importantly, we actually calculate the direction too. So I've got the direction in degrees, and I've also got the cardinal, north, northeast, southeast kind of stuff, and we're choosing kilometers at this point. So moving right along, just to wrap up this piece there, we actually need to create duplicate rows. So I've got a solution where I actually create one row for the airport and another row for the partner country, so that I can do some tricky stuff in dual axes and with different kinds of shapes. So we get right to the end of our flow here, and we can push all of that data out to a TDE file. And this is kind of what we're looking at here. We've got our dates, our countries, our flight types. We've got all the details about the particular airport, including whether it's a medium or large, etc. Got our lats and longs, got our codes. Here's all of our measures. And here we go, we've got these spatial objects. Now, spatial objects don't get written out to a TDE file. So what I need to do is to output the spatial pieces out to two shape files. So here's a shape file that has just got some IDs, and this is an airport or a country partner. So this is one column of spatial objects, and every second row is an airport, and every other row is a country. And the other piece here has actually got a line. So I've actually created a line using the polyline tool. So I'm grouping them by those two rows and showing so that'll give us a path between the airport and the partner country. So I'm pushing that out to another shape file. So that's it for the Alteryx piece. So we're ready to get into Tableau and have a look at how we hook this TDE to these shape files. So here we are in Tableau with our data source connection. So we can see that we've got our Tableau extract, that's our TDE file. And we're just going to do a left join onto record IDs off to our shape file for the geographies. And we're going to do another join off to the lines. So that gives us a bunch of points for every second row, and we get some line shapes for every row that we can then make use of in our data set. So what does our data set look like? Group them all up into nice folders here. So here's all the stuff we know about our airports. And you can see we've got airport codes are actually geographic object in Tableau, but we're actually going to use our own geometry objects there as well. So we've got stuff in countries. We've got all of our dates. We've got the details about the flight. So there's our directions from the airport to the partner country. Now we've got all this Sankey data. I'll come back to that one in just a little while. And as far as measures go, we've got all of our flight measures. So there's our number of flights, and we've got our number of passengers in here. And what we've done is we've done some parameterization so that we can choose whether we want what measure we want, whether we want it arriving or departing or both. and we can even select what time grade we want. So these all come together in selected measure. So we've got a selected measure there. We can just see how that one works. So if we've got a flights to passengers, we've even done things like average passengers per flight, flights per day, passengers per day, all those kind of good things are all buried in Tableau in aggregations, calculated fields. So how about we now have a look at how we use these geometry objects. So what have we got here? We've got an airport, lat and long. And we've got a partner country, lat and long. Here it is, partner country geo. Now we could use those latitudes and longitudes to do things in Tableau, but unfortunately it's very hard to use two different latitudes and longitudes with dual axes. So that's why I created this other one here. So this is geometry here. So that'll give us a dot on the map for all sorts of different things. So there's lots of airports and there's countries on there. Let me show you how that one works. So if we grab record ID from our duplicate data set and we grab our data set onto color and we grab our country or label into here, we can now see that we've got Iceland as a country, and we've got the international airport as another object that we can have on the one axis here. So that'll allow us to do some other things like add a flight path object. Let me show you how that one works. So let's zoom in on one particular airport. So let's go and maybe have a look at that Frankfurt airport we saw before. Now we can just see there's the centroid for the airport, and there's all the partner countries. So now what we can do is we can do that dual axis piece. So let's copy that one over. And now because we've got a spatial object for this second piece here, we can change that over to grab our flight path geometry instead. So if we just drop that over the top here, now we'll get a whole lot of flight paths. I might just skinny them up a bit and get rid of our data set up there. Now we can make those a dual axis. Now we can see we get a line in between each airport partner country combination. So then we can go back to this one, and instead of making that a automatic, let's make it say a shape. And this is where we use our direction. So we had our direction piece here, and we drag that over to the shape. You can see now we've got little airplanes based on all the different cardinalities. I'll take you through that one briefly to wrap up today, but let's just make them a little bit bigger. And why don't we actually size them by our selected measure. So let's just put them on size. And now we can see from Frankfurt where all of the big partner countries are coming from. And that's how that came together for our drill through on our map. So just having a look back at our agenda here, so we've showed you how we got our spatial objects and we put them together in a map. So I'd like to now show you just how we did this Sankey piece. So if we head to the Sankey chart here, a little call out here to Ian. Let's have a look at his blog. So it's really well written. Takes you through how to build that Sankey diagram without doing any data prep. So if you scroll down through his blog, Ian steps you through how you create your parameterized dimensions, how you then create your paths and your indexes and all those great tricky Sankey calculations, and spells it all out there. So all I did was grab those, copy and paste them into my workbook, set them all up as Ian talks about. The craziest part was these nested calcs. So you had all of these different table calcs. You had to make sure you had them in the right order and at the right level of detail. And voila, I had a bit of an issue. I messed one of these up, so it didn't work the first time, but it came out pretty well. So thanks Ian and the crew there at InfoLab, much appreciated. So as promised, I'm going to wrap up with how I created those airplane custom shapes. So the trick with custom shapes is you got to go and find a freebie out on the web and download it. So if you have a search for say airplane icons with transparent backgrounds, looking out for ones that have got the little squares in the background, and if you save that image as, and let's just put it in your Tableau repository in the shapes folder, and if you want to create a new folder and you call it airplane cardinal, I'll just show you a new one here. So I'm just going to call this one airplane, looks a bit like northwest to me facing, so we'll save it as that one. And now we open that up in your favorite editor. So I'm going to open it up in here, and I'm just going to snag it as my favorite, and I'm going to rotate my image, and so image rotate. I'm going to do a custom angle. I think about 61 degrees should get us fairly north. All right, so I'm going to do a save as now. Airplane north, and you'll get the picture. I'm just going to rotate that 190 degrees now and save that as airplane east. And what we'll do is we'll build up a whole bunch of shapes, and I'll show you the shapes that I've got in my airplane cardinal. And you see I just did one for each point of the compass. And then if we go back to Tableau, we can see that those are actually used in the directions here. So I've got my direction dimension, and I just go through and I pick out each one of these, find my airplane cardinal in my drop-down list, and I just assign each one of these to one of these. And this is where I've got my circle, which is actually the airport. So hope you enjoyed watching that Craig's Hack for Tableau. Thank you very, very much for watching. And by all means, download my workbook from my Tableau Public and get in and have a bit of a deeper dive into it. And until next time, thanks.